A real busy Wednesday in the football world. Champions League round of 16 continues, and in the Premier League, a big one, a huge one. Man City against Arsenal. City in the end coming out on top 3-1, meaning City now in first place. It's been a while, right? I think November. It's been that long. On goal differential over Arsenal, who dropped points once again. 3 straight games in the league, they've now dropped points. United sniffing around first place still, as Mikey Singh here gives me this really annoying little grin. But listen, that was a great game today. Had really everything, didn't it? Kevin De Bruyne to Erling Haaland. Normalcy resumed, Albert, I guess.
Yeah, 6 times he's assisted him, which is the most in the Premier League for one player to another. I mean, we've been talking about City. Everybody's been talking about City having an off season, slumping a little bit, considering that Erling Haaland now has 26 goals. And yet, they're still top of the league. 10 plus on the goal difference above Arsenal. You can never count this team out. You know what's strange? It seems like this whole situation off the field of Manchester City with the breaches and all the allegations have kind of galvanized the team together and the fans. Like the performance wasn't 10 out of 10, but they showed why they're the champions. And they can go away to the league leaders and put in that type of performance.
It was their big guns stepping up once again, right? You saw a great performance out of Gunnar, obviously De Bruyne. I don't want to say turn back the clock because we've seen it this season, but he put in another classic Kevin De Bruyne performance. And Erling Haaland, he was dangerous, right? He doesn't need many touches on the ball. He doesn't need many opportunities.
34.
But when he does get his opportunity, he makes you pay. And he almost made him pay with a penalty that was called back because he was slightly offside. And then, of course, the goal. Just a world-class finish from Erling Haaland. Manchester City. Top of the table once again.
They're in the Champions League still. They're in cup finals. They're first place in the Prem. Off season. Not playing well. But you're right. I mean, Pep came out on camera this past week defending that club, defending his ownership as well, saying, we are together in this, forget about the charges. I trust them. And you're right. It has a galvanizing effect. And maybe it's what you need. If you're Arsenal, though, we did mention it last time, they dropped points. It's 3 games, 4 if you include the FA Cup as well. And if you are an Arsenal fan right now, you have to be a little bit concerned. You're still doing just fine. You're in first place, on points, if not on goal differential. But they need to stem this tide pretty soon. And they're playing Aston Villa this weekend with Unai Emery, of course, the former Arsenal boss, now in charge of Villa. Definitely wants some revenge, but that's the tricky one.
It's in the back of their mind. I mean, you think back to last season and that collapse that's happened. You have to imagine if you're an Arsenal fan, you're deeply, deeply concerned about the possibility that they could blow this lead. And that's, for me, I know earlier in the season you were saying, I'm not sure, actually it might have been you, Sharms, who was saying top 4 was Arsenal's goal this season. They would be happy with that. I honestly, at this point in the season, I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's Premier League title, or I don't want to say bust, but they'll be disappointed if they don't win the title in a really, really big way, and it might not go down as an overall successful season.
Yeah, I think Arteta's goal would have been to finish in the top 4. I mean, if you can, fight for the title to the end of the season and lose it, I think that's just a bonus. It'll be disappointing, but it's a great learning experience. I will say this: they don't want to do that. They want to win the title.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, they're slumping at the wrong time. It was bound to come. Like playing as well as they played throughout the entire season, it's just not sustainable at that level.
But result aside, Albert, they look pretty good today.
I thought the performance was good. I think they can take a lot away from that. But one thing I will say, when Thomas Partey is not in that midfield, it's a huge concern. They've done pretty well. I think they've won 4 out of 5 in the Premier League, but the Premier League and Europa League combined without him in the lineup. The one that they did lose was against Manchester United. So in the big games, that's a big hole to fill. And they had tons of chances. And I'll go back to them signing Leandro Trossard. Not Leandro Trossard. Who am I thinking of now?
Jorginho?
No. Anyway, going back to a striker. They had 2 or 3 chances, Eddie Nketiah, and probably should have scored.
He should have.
And instead of going after a
winger,
instead of going after a winger or a midfielder, they really need to bring in a true number 9. And I think if they were to have a Jesus there or maybe somebody else,
they could have scored. They thought they had Mudryk.
But he's not even that number 9, though.
No,
right?
no, but he's a forward-oriented player, right? He's a goal-scoring player.
In those types of matches, when you have those chances and they're limited, you got to take them. And if you have a striker that can't do that, you're going to lose those games.
They play again late April, so that could be a huge one, perhaps. Man. But there's a lot of points between now and then. To the Champions League now, and a couple of interesting matches. Dortmund took on Chelsea, and Dortmund prevailed in this one, 1-0. Listen, Chelsea once again it's not a bad performance. João Felix had his chances, looked really good at times in that one. Enzo Fernandez was good, except for the goal that he essentially conceded. It was a brilliant goal by Adeyemi. End-to-end rush. You have to see this if you haven't seen it already. It's brilliant and just pure power and pace out the outside. Beat Enzo to score that goal, which isn't great for a £130 million player, obviously, but if you're Graham Potter, you have to be seeing some progress here, right? They're so close to clicking because they could have scored 2 or 3 goals in this game.
Well, the amount that you've invested into your squad, at a certain point, good performances, decent performances, if you want to call it, isn't good enough. And this Chelsea team, it's been a constant narrative so far with them this season. They can't find a way to find the back of the net. And is João Felix the guy that's going to score them some goals? I think so. I think eventually it's going to round into form. But when you're halfway through the year and you're playing meaningful matches like in a Champions League round of 16 draw against Dortmund, in which a game that you're very much in, you need a striker who can make that difference right now. They don't have time to burn on this season, right? They're already out of it essentially in the Premier League. The Champions League is essentially all they have left to make a meaningful impact on the season. The amount of money they invested, they want to make that impact, and yet they're letting it fall through their fingertips.
He hit the crossbar, and he just missed as well, a goal that he probably should have scored.
He gets a lot of chances, João
does,
Felix, right? He doesn't finish most of them. And I'll go back to saying I thought getting João Felix was the wrong move, not because he's not a good player, because Chelsea need a striker. They need someone to score these goals. Mudryk is good, Enzo Fernandez is good, João Felix, great, sure. But those are peripheral players. You need a striker to finish those chances. They don't have that. And that's what happens. You end the game with no goals and you're missing big chances similar to Arsenal.
Benfica beat Club Brugge 2-0, but Tajon Buchanan had a very strong game.
Yeah, Tajon Buchanan for me was one of the best players on the pitch, and for Club Brugge, arguably their most dangerous attacker moving forward. He showed that willingness and the desire and the confidence to take players on over and over and over in that match. And I love how Scott Parker, by the way, Scott Parker, Club Brugge, is still a little weird.
The Champions League knockout phases, Scott Parker on the bench, love it.
But I love how Scott Parker had the willingness to put Tajon as a left winger. We've seen Tajon at Club Brugge play right wing back, left wing back, left winger, right winger. He's shown his versatility today. He started on the left wing, and man, he was dangerous out there, taking players on, beating lots of players 1v1. He didn't come up with that end product as we've seen in times, but still, I love the performance, and that he showed why there's big clubs looking at Tajon Buchanan.
Yeah, unfortunately for Brugge, I think they're done. 2-0 down, going back to Benfica. Fortress.
No one's talking about Benfica, are they?
No.
But that was a good performance again today.
Yeah,
Guys,
defensively they're great.
I've been talking about Benfica.
Yeah,
I did a whole segment about
you.
why Benfica is going to win the Champions League. Albert was there.
It's true, he did say that. I mean, Jean-Mar, the whole team played
And that's why we don't listen to you.
That's why we don't listen to you.
When he said, I'm like, Benfica, what are you talking about? And here we are.
How great would it be, though, right? You know, it's been a long time since the Portuguese team won, 2004 with Mourinho, right?
Yeah.
With Porto, yeah. Long time, so we'll see. So, yeah, that's a fun Wednesday. By the way, tomorrow, Thursday, United against Barcelona
Let's
in the
go.
Europa League. We'll be talking about that and much more in Room 442.